Call to order this meeting of the James City Service Authority Board of Directors regular meeting. Good afternoon. Mr. Powell, would you please call the roll?
Good afternoon. Mr. Hippel.
Here.
Ms. Larson.
Here.
Mr. McGlennon. Here. Mr. Eisenhower. Here. Ms. Sadler.
Here. Next, we have public comment. Are there any speaker cards?
No, ma'am.
Okay, very good. Next is our consent calendar, which contains the minutes adoption. There's no discussion, motion?
Motion for approval.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Any public hearings? We're good?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Board considerations. First, contract award, White Oaks Area Water Main Replacement Design Services. Mr. Powell.
The existing water distribution system in the White Oaks area serves approximately 275 single-family homes and was installed in the early 1970s. The system consists of about 22,000 linear feet of water main, and it requires replacement and upsizing to maintain reliability and to enhance public safety by increasing fire flow capacities. This project has been in the CIP for a number of years. We've been incrementally putting funds aside for this project. JCSA is now in a position to begin the design and engineering services for this project. After a competitive RFP process, the firm RK&K was selected as the most qualified to provide the design and engineering services for the project. Staff recommends approval of the resolution awarding the contract to RK&K in the amount of $412,565. I would also note that we'll be sending a letter to all the residents in this area soon, letting them know what's going on and what's about to happen. We will hold a community meeting closer to the time when construction is going to begin, but we'll endeavor to keep the community informed as the project moves forward.
Questions?
Yeah, if you don't mind, with the design process, how long do they figure that to take, and what kind of estimate do you have for when you might be doing that community meeting or potentially starting construction? And then secondly, once this starts, this is a pretty ambitious project. What kind of time frame are you looking at for completion?
Fortunately, Mr. Vergakis is here, so maybe he can help me with some of this. The construction is estimated to begin in 2020.
2020. Okay.
The design process, 6 months, 8 months, something along those lines? Okay.
And then I guess once it's actually construction is started, looks like these things are right along the main roads in that area. It would probably be just done in sections incrementally as you went through the neighborhood.
That is what we're trying to do.
Okay, very good. Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
And Ms. Powell, Mr. Vergakis, either one of you can answer. Was originally a private well project, was it, or was this part of the service authority to begin with? Sidner Well, yeah, I thought so. Yeah, because I sort of recall that this project was in the CIP back when I represented this area, which was not recently.
It's been in the CIP for a long time.
Yeah.
It's not an inexpensive project.
Mm-hmm. I was curious, and that's the other thing I was curious about. Do we have a kind of ballpark estimate of
I think it's
cost?
about $3 million, isn't it?
Yes, and we're working part of the update.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right. Looking for a motion?
I'll move approval of the contract award.
Very good. Voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Or is that supposed to be a roll call vote, sir?
I think you can do voice vote on that one.
Voice vote is fine? Yeah. Number 2, amend adopted board calendar to move the May 28th, 2019 regular meeting to May 21st, 2019 at 4 p.m.
I'm simply proposing you amend your calendar similarly to how the Board of Supervisors amended theirs for the month of May. Since you moved your work session to the 21st, I thought you'd probably want to move this meeting to the 21st as well.
No.
Yeah. I'll move that.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that will carry. Next under board considerations, we have a closed session item, discussion or consideration of the investment of public funds where competition or bargaining is involved, where, if made public initially, the financial interest of the governmental unit would be adversely affected, affected, in particular, contract negotiation with Newport News Waterworks pursuant to Section 2.2-3711A6 of the Code of Virginia. Is there a motion to enter into closed session?
So moved.
Mr. Powell?
Mr. Hippel.
Aye.
Ms. Larson.
Aye.
Mr. McGlinnan. Mr. Eisenhower.
Aye.
Ms. Sadler.
Aye. And we are
we close back in.
Oh, yep. Back in session. Thank you very much.
I move to certify that we only spoke about those items we indicated we would speak about in the closed session.
Ms. Powell?
Mr. Hippel.
Aye.
Ms. Larson.
Aye.
Mr. McGlinnan.
Aye.
Mr. Eisenhower. Ms. Sadler.
Aye. We don't have anything we need to vote on from that,
No,
correct?
that's
No
correct,
directives,
yes.
all right. Board requests and directives. Anyone? Okay, general manager's update.
Just wanted to briefly emphasize that the meter register replacement project will begin in mid-April. There will be contractors out in the county doing this project. They will have badges. Their vehicles will be marked. And also wanted to emphasize that because it's just the register, people will not residents, customers will not have their service interrupted during this process. So our customers hopefully won't even know that this is going on. But we are starting that project. It's a 15,000 replacements. We're hoping to complete in about a 6-month period. Closer to mid-April, when the project kicks off, we will do a press release and some social media and do some additional communication with the public to make sure that they know what's going on.
All righty, well then we are looking for a motion to adjourn until 5 p.m. on April 9th, 2019 for the budget public hearing.
So moved.
Mr. Powell?
Mr. Hippel.
Aye.
Ms. Larson.
Aye.
Mr. McGlinnan. Mr. Eisenhower.
Aye.
Ms. Sadler.
Aye.
Thank you all.
Thank
session of the James City County Board of Supervisors for purpose of a work session. And Mr. Stevens, call the roll, please.
Mr. Hippel?
Here.
Ms. Larson?
Here.
Ms. Sadler? Here. Mr. McGlinnan?
Here.
Mr. Eisenhower?
Here.
All present.
Okay, board discussions. We are going to skip to number 2 and start with the recycling update. Grace Boone, Director of General Services.
Hi, how are y'all? I have with us today Dawn Alexi, our environmental coordinator. We are here to give you an update on where we're at with curbside recycling. So, as you know, the existing regional contract expires June 30th, 2019, and that the cost of recycling has historically come from the general fund. And currently, the cost to our citizens is $1.58 per household per month. We've talked in the past of how global recycling is, the market is down, and consequently there will be a significant increase because of the downturn in the recycling market. The county is a community committed to sustainability, and we want to continue to provide the service to our citizens, and we want to do our part in improving the quality of our recycling and also diverting as much waste from our landfills as possible. The team we put together to look at the recycling, curbside recycling contract and billing was our team consists of staff from General Services, Finance, IRM, and the Treasurer's Office, and folks from VPSA. We met with both York County and TFC and decided that we would go with an opt-out option. This is the best success we feel for participants. And the 2 billing options that we looked at in the end was Harub's and to do it in-house, and they were very comparable. The team just, recommended that we're going to do it in-house. That provides, we feel, a better customer service. Will provide better customer service, and though Harub's provides great customer service, we are not their first priority. So we feel that in-house would provide that. We're considering moving to the voluntary fee for service system at $7 per household per month, which would go into effect October 1st. And also we're considering discounts for HOAs. So a little bit about the billing I wanted to talk about was the bills would be mailed August 15th with a due date of September 15th. And staff is also looking at where they're working on the outreach as far as, getting the message out to the community. So staff from James City, Poquoson, York, and Williamsburg are meeting regularly with VPSA to ensure that folks know how we're going to roll this out.
So is it August 15th? Is that a year's bill or is it monthly?
It is quarterly.
Quarterly?
Yes.
Okay.
So.
But Ms. Larson, we could have it clear that if somebody wants to write us a check for the year, they could pay it in advance.
Yes.
But we were going to bill quarterly, and they'd have a credit on their next quarterly bill if they had given it in advance.
Thank you.
Well, one other question I had on that was, so this is, the bills would go out August 15th and be payable by September 15th.
Correct.
But for service beginning October 1st.
Correct.
Okay, so you would have the payment in hand prior to the quarter.
Yes.
Okay. So
cards will be delivered end of June, so the subscription base would start, July 1st.
Yeah.
So the cards would already be out there.
So another question is, the current contract expiring, will they be picking up those carts and we getting new carts?
Yes, so those carts will be picked up by County Waste and new carts will be delivered by TFC.
Okay.
Are you getting in, I wanted to ask a question if it's about to be here, cart size?
Cart size is,
96 gallons.
Big one.
Okay.
Just big one.
Because I had the small one and then I went.
Yeah, all all the folks who are currently enrolled in the system are getting 96-gallon carts, except for some of the smaller,
Condos or
the smaller neighborhoods that are right now have the 35s. They will continue to have the 35s.
Okay. Is it still every other week?
Correct.
Pickup?
Yes.
Okay.
When we say we'll do the billing, is that the treasurer's office or is that the county?
The treasurer's office.
Okay, and are we confident that that system is going to be ready to accept convenient payment through credit cards or bank drafts and the like?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Was it the treasurer's office?
The treasurer's office. Correct.
And can you, just for purposes of comparison, I know you had put up the figure for what we're paying now currently per household. The anticipated fee is 3 times that now, is that, or more?
A little more.
A little more. So, and I don't mean the $7. I mean what the contract called for.
The TFC contract, Grace, it wasn't a set price. It was a tonnage and a residential price, which was about $6 a household.
Yeah, and the tonnage was $95 per ton.
Okay. I guess what I'm looking for is what, if we were paying for it out of the general fund, how much additional revenue would be required to pay for the continuation of the recycling program?
With no fee.
1.3.
1.8 billion is the number I remember.
But additional on top.
Yeah.
1.4 is the difference.
Okay.
And we're doing about $500,000.
And so that's about, it's, so the 1.8 is total, including, we're going from $500,000 to 1.8.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay, so that's about 1 penny. Is that right on the tax rate?
A little more.
A little more.
Okay. When it comes to discounts for homeowners associations, could you just talk about that for a minute, Grace?
Yes,
about why we would think about that?
Well, depend if we bill directly with an HOA who has 200 folks, we would only have to send one bill.
I see.
And so, taking into consideration, the tonnage that we'll be paying, and the billing, the reduction in the bills that we'd have to send out, we're trying to see if there's some savings that we can offer. So I actually spoke to Sharon Day before I arrived today, and she's continuing to work through those numbers.
Yeah, and the only concerns I have about that, obviously, are that a lot of our older neighborhoods don't have homeowner associations, and of course, there are homes that are outside of subdivisions, if you will.
Some would have the option, and what we were talking, at least on the staff side, was maybe $6 a resident if the HOA is doing it in all of the customer service side and the billing side. So we just have one bill. If the board doesn't want to consider that, we don't have to offer that. But what Grace was going to go out, and I guess Dawn, to talk to HOAs and trying to encourage, one, for the communities to continue to recycle and have that as at least something. We can still bill them, whether it's 7 or something less. Yeah. But we were just trying to fill out, would the board be amenable to that concept? Because I think you'll save at least on the postage. You won't save on pickups and tonnage, but you'd save on the postage.
Right. I'm just trying to get some sense of all the different options and possibilities here. If the treasurer's office is doing it, would there be obstacles to doing it in conjunction with the personal property tax bills go out to most of our citizens?
We have looked at that, and
I know real estate, that doesn't make any sense because lots of people have it taken care of by their mortgage holder.
Right,
and so forth.
and
She said it's too hard to tie it to that because you're looking at the owner of the home as opposed to just the resident, and it gets really complicated. We're looking at these databases.
Right.
And, the team has decided that's not good. The treasurer's office suggested that's not a good idea.
Okay.
Because you have rental property and who's going to, ensure that fee gets paid.
Mm-hmm. County Waste is offering they're charging $1 extra if you get a printed bill. Obviously, trying to encourage people to do more transactions electronically. Is that anything we're anticipating, thinking about?
We hadn't discussed that, but I'll make sure that we bring it up this week.
So they weren't able, or do you have another slide? I feel bad if we're sitting here and we're asking all of the questions.
Slide 3.
Okay, what are the Powerball numbers?
Hold on, let me write that.
What did, so at the last time we had this discussion, there was hopes that the cans, because now what's going to happen to all the cans that are being picked up by county waste? They had sort of hoped, as long as it was recycling, that we were going to try to be good stewards and not send those out to the landfill, but they weren't able to work out anything, I guess.
TFC and county waste was not able to work out a deal. So.
Okay. That's too bad.
Yes.
So
I doubt
that was our hope also.
They can take the lids off and put new lids on and hopefully refurbish them. There's a company in Norfolk that refurbishes carts.
Okay.
And when will those be picked up, the old ones?
Near the end of June.
And how are people going to be notified that that's happening?
So that's part of our community outreach. Is we're going to be putting information out. And Dawn, if you want to talk a little bit about how the team has put some things together.
Sure. Well, so County Waste has every intention of picking those carts up at the end of their contract. So whatever that last pickup day is, ideally they're going to remove them at the same time. So I've been meeting with my counterparts in Poquoson and Williamsburg and York County and at VIPSA every 2 weeks to stay on top of all these questions and to make sure that we've got the same, information and messaging. And so as that comes available, we will be able to roll that out. But as of today, I do not have, specific dates and protocol and how that's going to happen.
But we do want to come out to, if you all want to have community meetings, to come out and explain and help people understand how this is going to transpire.
So there's going to be I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
There's going to be a period where there's no recycling.
No, that's not true.
No, the new carts will be delivered
between June 15 and 30. So they'll be ready.
You're receiving recycling without paying for it then?
For 3 months.
Oh, the first 3 months.
Oh, the first 3 months, that's coming out of the general fund.
Okay.
So the funding that was already set aside, that will cover us from July through September.
Okay. Okay. Wow. And we think that we've got a system set up where the treasurer is going to be able to communicate with somebody to say, cut Mr. Hipple off. Well, he's way out there anyway. But they're not paying. They didn't pay their bill. We're not giving any freebies. It's like you've got to pay by September 15th.
You have to pay by a certain date, and at that time, then the customer service person will notify TFC, and that cart will be picked up.
Okay. Thanks.
And now this program we're basically contracting 5 years for this entire recycle. And I've asked the county administrator during that 5-year period, the same thing we've all asked, in different meetings and all, is if we can sit there and see if this is something that we can look at countywide as far as, trash pickup and recycling, if we can get more involved into it. And maybe we can't get everybody, but maybe we make a bigger stab at the whole thing, and give us that 5 years to give us the pros and cons of whether it'll work or whether it won't. And also within that 5-year period, as we're moving and transitioning maybe into this, talk with our suppliers right now that are doing the small mom and pop operations that I so dearly love and we use, but make sure that they don't go to the wayside. That if there's education or help or something that we need to do for those individuals that work hard in our community, if we don't switch over and then go, we forgot about y'all, because we're always looking to help all our citizens. So maybe a transition period there that they may need to start looking at other revenue sources and or continue with further out in the community and catch all those out there. So
Yeah. And
county administrator said he would start looking into that with his group and see and bring us something back. And it gives us 5 years to come up with a game plan to better serve the citizens in trash and recycling. And so.
Yeah, we've talked about that during this whole discussion because in one area where we've seen the impact is with storm debris because we're not able to. We've offered some, which I really appreciate all the work that you've done this year, but there's alternatives we're not able to offer simply because we don't have a county-wide trash pickup. So, okay.
Right. The other aspect of it is, I think there is a question for us to really think about seriously, which is the idea of the fee for service versus paying for it out of the general fund. I mean, I guess, for the individual who's going to be paying $84 a year for recycling, even if we included garbage collection in that, is that a better deal than if they were paying a penny additional tax rate, which would be the equivalent for an average home in the county of $30 a year? Just something to consider as you go through this.
We got 5 years to kind of figure it out.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how many people stay with it, and you'll provide that update. Let us know. I mean, I know you need a few months but 6 months in, who's really still recycling?
And we have 22,000 right now. I think it is
25.
25,000.
A little over 25.
So out of 77,000, if we go to countywide and we could pick up 57 or 65, then our numbers are coming down as far as
Mr. Little numbers. I think we have 25,000 households, and we have about 30-some thousand households in the county. Does that sound
okay? Households,
right? So households, individuals. Yeah, I just want to make sure your numbers get back. But I mean, your point is still valid, and that we expect to have a pretty high response rate, but we could offer to those additional households too, potentially. That's
right.
Yeah. We want to get through who we're servicing today, and then see what it would take to go to that next level. Staff's work pretty hard to cover where they are, so I didn't want to get them. But I think your point, can we expand it? The answer is we ought to talk about that and see what that means.
And and this would be the perfect time with our, having a 5-year outlook. This would be the perfect time to start that process and give us enough time with everything else we're doing. Give us enough time to get through it, to come out with a good game plan and a 5-year period. So, thank you.
Any more questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay.
Next up, VDOT quarterly update. Mr. Carroll from VDOT.
Good evening.
You're turning hot seat, sir.
I'll get over here to the side so you can see me. Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. I'm here to give the VDOT quarterly transportation update. I'll also answer any questions and what's new in the world of VDOT and construction. So, for this quarter, maintenance accomplishments, that's December 1st through February 28th. We completed 629 of 737 maintenance work orders, which is 85% completion rate, which I think is fairly well, being that it's been a very, very rainy season. So, a lot of our outstanding, of the 108 outstanding, 57 of them are drainage alone. Every bit of half of those are drainage complaints or concerns that we're trying to get to. A few highlights of the accomplishments this quarter. We did do ditch cleaning on Centerville Road, Riverview Road, Newman Road, and Old Stage Road. We patched potholes throughout the county, and we still have plenty of potholes left to patch. So I'll put that out there right now. We know that
take that off.
Yeah,
scratch that one off.
They keep coming up just as fast as we put them down. But I will say that the weather is breaking for us. So instead of doing what I consider temporary patching, which we normally do during the winter months because of the temperatures, we can use hot plant asphalt, which is more of a permanent patch. That certainly lasts longer, and we don't see the recurring pothole over and over again. So I do want to put that in there. We cleaned out 68 pipes, 1,100 feet of ditch throughout the area. We trimmed and cut over 100 trees from the snow event. We're still working on trying to clear our shoulders free of debris prior to our first mowing. We county-wide mowing, we did a litter pickup on the primary routes in February, and we are first mowing projected for April. So that'll be our primary. Our first one's always just a primary only mowing. Current projects out there, we have the I-64 widening segment 2. That's been going on for a while. The project is scheduled for completion on May 24th, 2019. So it looks like we're going to be on schedule for that, so that's a good thing.
Good news.
It is.
Yeah.
And then we have segment 3, which is under construction now. And that kind of runs, I always say 199 to 199. That's the last segment that we have in the 6-year plan to complete. And that is June 26, 2021. So we have a couple more years of that. The big thing is the full replacement of the bridges over Queens Creek. So that'll be part of this project that we didn't have in some of the others. But still.
You guys do that half a bridge at a time?
Half a bridge at a time. Okay. Yeah, we're going to have to build half, reverse, put traffic on that half, and then demolish and then build the other half. Mm-hmm. To maintain 2 lanes of traffic in each direction.
So we should anticipate a lot more traffic on 199 for the next couple of years.
Yes, and that's part of that ITF project that we did, because we do anticipate that. We really do. But like I said, hopefully two more years of construction, and they've already started and seem like they're underway, and hopefully we'll get through that, just like we've gotten through phase 1 and phase 2, or segment 1, segment 2.
When we go to the half bridges, Mr. Carroll, will that still have 2 lanes of traffic on the half bridge?
Yeah, we'll build a half, 2 lanes and a shoulder. And then we'll put the traffic on that, and then demolish the existing bridge and build the rest of the bridge out, which will require 3 lanes and shoulders on each side.
Mr. Carroll, as part of the medians closer up towards Lightfoot, I'm getting comments from lots of people with the little spindly trees that are stuck in the median. Do you know anything about those still there? Are they going to be removed? I mean, they're big, but it's like, it looks like if the wind blows hard, it's going to fall in the middle of the interstate.
Yeah, but most of the trees will be removed. There's a landscaping plan to replant trees after we've done all the stormwater management and all that part of it. I don't know exactly what tree. I know I saw there was a couple oak trees that were left.
Yeah,
it's like all the pines, and then there was 1 or 2 oak trees.
Some of them are like that.
Yeah, they're going to take all of them down.
Yeah, they will. I'm not sure exactly which tree they're talking about, but most of the trees are coming down in the median.
Okay.
Is now an okay time to ask a question about the the 64?
Sure.
So I've had a lot of comments about the red wall, and how that was. If it's anybody else, people have.
I hear it every night.
I have not heard that personally, but as opposed to
on segment 2.
Yes, and so I guess further down, it's very seashell-y.
Segment 1, yeah.
Thank you. And so there was questions as to how the red, such a strong red wall got chosen.
Local input. Yep. It was chosen by the locality in the area, and that was the design that we went with.
Okay, thank you for the answer. I'm sorry I wasn't asked.
The other question I have is they're getting close on this, but I've noticed when I drive it that the segment 2 is not nearly as smooth as segment 1. Is that something that you guys will be looking at prior to acceptance, or?
Well, it hasn't been paved yet.
Totally. Okay.
Yeah,
I thought that there were some.
Now, what they're doing right now, they are milling, grinding the intermediate mix, and they're coming back and putting in the final surface mix.
Okay.
And there is rideability on this project.
Okay. Because as you drive it, there's a noticeable difference when you get down to section 1 versus section 2.
Well, it is, but it's like I said, the surface mix. I did see going westbound, they did one shoulder, the inside shoulder. They have started paving with surface mix.
Okay.
But they have started grinding all the lanes. If you'll see where it looks really gray, and you see some areas where it's dark, where there's some depressions. What they're doing is smoothing that so that they can put the surface mix on.
Okay.
And like I said, this project does have rideability. So.
And they did that. They're doing it at night, and they laid that one piece, and we even the HR TAC came back to complain about it because it was the same thing. We had noticed that as well. So they're grinding that back down at night to relay that. But there were a couple areas that were a little bumpy.
Yeah. But like I said, it is a rideability spec with this. So we do expect a certain ride quality. Our ride quality for this project. The ITTF, arterial operations improvement, that was 60, 143, 199. I got a few calls about cameras on mast arms and all during that. That's part of that project, is so that we can manage and set timings for signals if needed. If something happens out on 64 and we need to change the timing structure to try to get more throughput, we have that opportunity. We also have ITS, the variable message signing, that is on 60, 143, 199. This isn't part of the ITF project, but we just got the board up and running again at 199 and 64. So having that advance notice of if there's anything and having some options to jump off on 60 or 143 so you don't get tied up in the middle of it will certainly help during that construction project. The completion for that is May, the ITTF project.
Those cameras, will they be integrated into that 511 system so you can look at them like the ones on the interstate?
They should be.
Okay.
Yeah, it's part of that 511 camera system.
Okay. Very good.
We also have the joint closure and overlay, multiple bridges. We have the, and these are really the ferry docks called the Glass House dock, which is the Jamestown side and then the Surrey side. That'll be part of the ferry that will be overlaying, sealing those joints and overlaying the docks for the ferry for that system. And that is, we'll have traffic, but it'll mill and overlay, and it'll be between May and September of 2019. So we'll have some daily lane closures during that time. We always talk about annual surface schedules. In the report, I showed the advertised. It has not been awarded yet. We have received bids. We haven't awarded it yet. These are the routes in James City County that are included in the 2019 pavement schedule for asphalt. It's Route 5 from 199 to Carolina Boulevard. There's Route 60 from York County line to the Newport News County line. There's Route 199 eastbound from Route 5 to Brookwood Drive. And then we have secondary system, Route 712 Ferncliff Drive, Route 713. Well, let me just say it this way. A couple routes in Canterbury Hills subdivision, Deer Run subdivision, Shellbank Woods subdivision, Ware Creek Manor subdivision, Chankos Grant subdivision. So there's streets in those subdivisions. Easier that way than going through the whole list. So we also have the Long Hill Road widening, which is a smart scale project. That is, the right-of-way has been acquired and utility relocations have begun. Construction advertisement is scheduled for next month, and we hope to have it all completed by fall of 2021. And that is taking 2 lanes, going to 4 lanes with a roundabout included in that section.
On the subdivision, that's the real deal. It's a real resurfacing.
Yes, that's set for 2019. You mean?
Yes, right.
Yes, sir.
Right. And is that it for the year?
Yes, sir. That is the schedule for 2019.
just hoping there were
I
a few other neighborhoods in there that
I understand. I understand. I will say that we look at, we do windshield reviews,
right,
but we also do a pretty good rating. We have a band that goes through and rates our primary and 20% of our secondary system each year. In 2016, we did 100% of our secondary system, which was a big undertaking, but it gave us a pretty good baseline in 2016. So having that ability to rate and review and look at load distress ratings, non-load distress ratings on our pavements gives us a good opportunity to prioritize. Not always that we haven't always done worse first, but there's also the ability to look at pavements that need full depth reclamation, more than just a mill and overlay. It allows us to see which pavements need to be just milled and overlaid, and then what pavements would be good candidates for preventative overlays. And that is the slurry seal, the chip seals, which we do not have a slurry seal or surface treatment schedule in James City County for 2019. But
it's okay.
I know.
That's the one John likes the best.
My neighborhood had that done, and I can tell you it looks like
with the money crunch, you do get more you do get more life out of pavements by sealing cracks, whether that's with a sealing material or whether to go out and actually just apply emulsion on cracks. You've seen the roads that look like a map board, that is how you protect your pavements. Water is your worst enemy. So being able to seal your pavements and not have water get in, which creates potholes and stuff of that nature, certainly makes it last longer. So I will add that in there that we do review that for not only my residency, which includes this area and part of Surrey, and all of Surrey County, but for each county as well. And we look at that every year and trying to, and we only have so many dollars allocated for secondary system and primary system and interstate system, and trying to come up with the best plan, not only for just asphalt pavement, but to keeping our pavements, in good shape. So the ones that are failed, replacing, but the ones that are still in good shape, trying to keep them good from going from fair to poor. That way. So.
Is there ever an evaluation done? I know you get these complaints on a case-by-case basis, but is there any kind of effort to deal with situations where in subdivisions you have sections of road which have depressions, maybe because of compaction or something else that's gone on underneath the surface of the road, to address those issues, or do they just, you just do the traditional resealing and overlays in those cases?
When we come in those cases, let's say that section of road, and it depends upon what it is.
Yeah.
We've looked at quite a few subdivisions that had compaction. Utilities are on there. There's no leaks in the stormwater system or the storm sewer system or anything of that nature. But what happens is you have those depressions over the utilities. Over time, they show themselves. So normally, if they're not too deep, if we can come in and do a 1.5 mill, which and that's a mill off the top, it leaves that depressed area still high. And then when you pave over it, it takes out a lot of it.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like what they're doing on 64. It's like this, and they're milling through the middle. So they're taking off the bumps and leaving the dips. So when they come through, it fills any dips left, but it also, kind of evens out. So usually that's how we take care of most of that. Now, on some of our non-subdivision roads, non-curb and gutter roads, we have in the past, because usually that's the outer edge, the outer 2 foot of the road, we've came in and applied asphalt to try to bring it back up to grade prior to coming in and putting a asphalt overlay on it. That seems to be the way we have to address those, where the utilities run down the shoulder of the roadway. Old Town Road, Long Hill Turn Lane. This is a project that is a rev share project of the counties, but it will be going on, we're administering it, but it will be going on the same time, the same contractor. It's just two different projects during the Long Hill widening project. So that'll extend the turn lanes, some sidewalks, all that stuff at Old Town and Long Hill. So
And that would explain the clearing that's taken on right at that intersection right now.
Yep. It all ties in together. The two projects, one's a rev share, one's a smart scale, but we combined them just for mobility and having one contractor. So they worked out well. News Road and Centerville Road, that's increased the safety and capacity at the intersection. Construct a right turn lane on News Road, a right and left turn lanes on Centerville Road, add new traffic signal. The right-of-way has begun. Construction will start in November of 2019, completion in November of 2020. We did perform a FYA review for that intersection, and it came up that it was a good candidate, so we included that in the design. That's part of the things that we're starting to do now, because FYA is sort of new to the area. Flashing yellow area.
Thank you.
Permissive lefts, sorry. It's sort of new to the area, so some of these projects that we haven't gotten to construction yet, we're going back and doing those reviews, and if they do qualify, we're trying to enter those into the design.
Those flashing yellows are one of the best things you guys have done in a long time.
There's a right place and a wrong place for it, and I think the right place, I agree with you.
Yeah.
It certainly helps with congestion.
It does.
And it allows those intersections to move more freely. I'm in agreement. Skis Creek Connector, that's to construct the 2 lanes road connecting to 60 to 143. Project's currently proposed as a design build project and with anticipated award in early 2020, completion in 2022. So it's about a 2-year project. And then we have the Jamestown Ferry Boat, which I have been reporting on this, it should have been here by now.
It's coming.
But we requested some modifications to the construction. We have some vibrations in the drive shaft, and we redesigned some things. The real issue is the vibrations allow it not to perform efficiently, and we're not getting the total output speeds-wise of the boat that we need for. So they're working on that, and we are hoping for I'm just going to say this, a summer arrival. But once we do, I'm sure we'll have a kickoff. And yeah, so
we'll do a champagne christening.
There you go, something. So and then bridge replacement, Route 601 over Daskin's Creek. That is currently in PE. Right away to start in late 2019. Construction to start in 2020. Then we have the Croco Road 4-lane widening project from the library to Route 60. That's to widen the road, increase capacity from 60 to Route 1647, Point of Woods Road. It's currently in PE with right-of-way to start in 2021 and construction start in 2022. And I will say we're getting ready for the 6-year plan, so we're starting to work with the county and having some meetings for the secondary 6-year plan. I will add that this Croco Road project is one of the projects on your secondary 6-year plan, and also Long Hill Road was one of the projects on your secondary 6-year plan that we were pushing through to construction. So that's a good thing.
It's time to add more to our 6-year plan.
Well, we still need a little funding for Croco Road, so I think we're good for maybe 1-2 more years, but we don't get the money in the secondary 6-year plan that we used to. So putting those big widening projects in the plan, it just kind of ties it up. Yeah.
What I was looking at is the airport road fiasco over there, and whether some of the cheaper options that we had discussed in that traffic study you'd done, would that be appropriate to put in the 6-year plan, or is that something that we can try for smart scale or something?
You can do both.
Okay.
Just like Long Hill Road. Okay. We had it on our secondary 6-year plan, and we had some funding, and we could show that funding in the application, or the locality or county could do it. But you can apply for smart scale. Just because you put it in your secondary 6-year plan doesn't mean you can't make it one of your priorities.
Is there any update on the potential availability of funding for Pocahontas Trail, any of the segments along there?
That portion, we had 4 submissions for Smart Scale 20 Act. Yeah, I think it's 20, Smart Scale 20. 20. It's an every 2-year process now. Out of that, there's only been 1 of those projects submitted. They've all been scored. 1 project has been recommended to the CTB for approval, and that was the connection between the Long Hill project and the recreational center for the multi-use facility across the 199 bridge. I think that was about a $4 million project. That one scored better than the others, so that was the only one recommended. Now, CTB still has to meet. That's not finalized. 6-year plan's not finalized, but it is good that it's in the recommended project list. Not to say that we're going to get ready to start working on the next phase of Smart Scale, and if that's still one of your priorities, I would certainly, we'll take a look at it again, see if we can tweak anything and put it back in as an application. We have the sidewalk and bikeway on Route 60 from Croker to Old Church Road. That's a CMAQ project. And that is approximately 4/10 of sidewalk and bike lane project to increase pedestrian and bikeway connectivity. The project is being coordinated with the Croker Road widening project. Currently in PE, and projected start of construction is 2022. But we're working through the design on that as well. And then I just talked about Smart Scale 20, but we did have 1 of the 4 applications did get in the VDOT recommended to CTB for Smart Scale funding in James City County. We've done quite a few traffic studies. Some of them have been completed. Is the Route 613 News Road at Powhatan Secondary. That's eastbound, install intersection ahead signs. The Route 60 Richmond Road, install crosswalk and yield to pedestrian signs at Norwich Elementary entrance. Route 5 at 614, we had the roadway safety analysis. That was kicked off. Well, first of all, we had the community discussion in late January. We had what I consider our stakeholders or partnering meeting for the RSA on March the 7th. And that included some James City County administration, planning, fire, police, National Park Service, the VDOT residency, VDOT district traffic engineering. After the community meeting, we started gathering data, crash reports, really looking at the intersections and seeing what sort of, like we did the original RSA, what immediate improvements we could be made, what long-term improvements, opportunities we would have at the intersection. Currently, after discussions through the RSA, some of the things that we're looking at is having right-in only. So no left turns off of John Tyler onto Centerville. So that would be coming from Green Springs. You would have to continue up to the signal at the high school, Green Springs Plantation. I had to think of the road. So it would be a signalized left there, and then that would put you at Route 5000. As people learn that they can't take a left onto Centerville off of Route 5, most of the people probably will take a left there and go to the signal at Route 5 and 5000 and make a right up to Centerville, that signal. It's about a 2-mile difference. I mean, it's about 2 miles each direction. We looked at also emergency service and making sure that they still had the opportunity to respond in a timely manner. So we couldn't really close off. The discussions of the RSA were not to close it off, but to limit traffic, that left-hand turn. But still, it would allow them the ability during an emergency to mount. It'd be mountable curbs, so they could mount and still use Green Springs for response. So that was something that we looked at as well. We are still running. We're modeling the other intersections, and the reason I say that is anytime you do something at one intersection, it has an effect somewhere else. So we're modeling the intersections at 5 and Green Springs Plantation and 5,000, and also 5 and 5,000. Just to make sure that we have, there's things like, is there enough storage in your left turn lanes for the additional traffic? Make sure that there's plenty of sight distance at those, so you're not moving the issue somewhere else with increased traffic flow. So they're the things that we're doing right now. I talked during the community meeting. I would estimate that, and we haven't finalized the RSA, so there may be some additional things, but we looked at estimates for the dual turn lanes on Route 5000 at 614s. That was about a $780,000 project, just in construction. That's not including right away. That's just PE and construction. We are estimating the left turn lane project to be somewhere between 60 and 100, 110, depending upon which way we go. We know we can do it with a no plan, but if we were able to use on calls, we can do it a lot cheaper. If we have to go through a VDOT process for a contract, we have PE cost and everything else. So ends up being about a $50,000 job, has another $40,000 of preliminary engineering involved in it just to put together a contract and go through all the documents. That's why there's about a $50,000 gap in that estimate, just depending upon which way we would go. But like I said, we looked at it. We did notice that most of the accidents are occurring at Centerville and Route 5 versus Green Springs and Route 5. So that's why we actually targeted that area. And most of those accidents were either rear ends for people turning left or people turning left in front of oncoming traffic, or people running the intersection at Centerville. So we've looked at things to address all of those type of accidents at that intersection. So more news at 11. I hope to have the RSA completed by the end of April. So we're trying to get our modeling done, and we're actually out doing some more traffic counts, trying to help such a macro level modeling scenario that we're trying to get some additional data for those areas count wise. So that's where we're at with that. And then we had the Fenton Mill and Croker Road review. That ended up that we were going to move the stop bar closer to Croker Road to help with sight distance. During this quarter, we did provide some emergency response. We responded to snow and ice events on December 9th, 10th, January 6th and 7th, 12th, 13th, 20 through the 23rd, and February 21st. However, it's been a very slow snow year compared to the last two that we've had in the area, but we'll take it. That concludes what I had on the paper. I'd be glad to take any questions or talk about any other concerns.
I've got a few.
I've got pictures.
You want these?
I sat down, Mr. Carroll. So I've been getting notifications from folks out in Elmwood as I think Jason sent you that information. I believe that's over by the 7-Eleven, and there's potholes there. We're trying to determine if that's a VDOT issue.
It's not.
It's not.
But I suggest we put no parking up.
That's what's happening. They're parking there.
Right. Okay.
We are going to go through there. About 3 to 4 foot off of that pavement is still on VDOT. So I'll have them go out and put the wedge, the shoulder for crush and run. But this back here is private property. What's happened over the years, somebody's dumped some asphalt and stuff in there, so the water doesn't drain. So it just sits there, and people drive in there, and you have those large potholes. Now, I will say a lot of people with the larger trucks park in this area to access 7-Eleven, which is across the street.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a big part of the problem.
Yeah.
So Elmwood residents are also wanting to know when they're going to be able to, their roads will look like Linwood next door. They're wanting some
Yeah,
I think you sent that to Jason. Maybe it's 2020.
It's really hard to say at this time. It's probably more like 2021, and I'm just guessing at that. I don't know my funding at this point. I will say that 2016 we did the CCI, so that includes, it's the lowest. The CCI is sort of the combined condition index, but it takes the low distress ratings and non-low distress ratings and picks the less of the two. So if you have pushing and those type things, or you have alligator cracks, it's going to take the less of the two, which is the combined condition assessment. Only one road in Elmwood is below what we normally, anything below 60 we start looking at. 60 is good, and higher is, fair, good, better, excellent. It kind of goes up the scale that way. When you get below 60, CCI, that's when you start having the alligator cracking, the potholes, stuff of that nature. There's only actually one road in Elmwood, 1606. I think that is Tanbank? Tanbark?
Yes, Tanbark, thank you.
That is 1606, and we're looking to we did some patching in there with our ender truck, tried to seal some of the cracks and stuff of that nature, but what will probably end up happening, we will take some of the roads and do with a 9.5 when it comes time. The rest of them are 73, 75, 66, 68, so they really haven't fallen below that, what we call the good to the fair to poor or category. So we're looking at those. I'm probably, if I had to estimate, a year ago I said we'll probably have it in the next 3 years. It's probably going to be 2021. And I know I see you write that down, but a lot of things in that date is how much funding I get and where we're at in 2021, because we do an assessment every year.
So what would actually be done in 2021 then?
It really will depend upon where it's at in the assessment.
Okay.
There is possibility that some of the roads, because normally when we go in a subdivision, we do all of them, just for mobilization cost. And so if we have a few roads that have dropped below the 60, we normally mill and fill or just overlay with 1.5 inches asphalt. Some roads that have not fallen in that same subdivision to that level, we may use a 4.75 millimeter mix, which is still asphalt. It's actually what the subdivision next to it received was 4.75.
Okay. Great, thank you. Now I go report back to them. Rochambeau. The school stoplight that never is going to happen, I suppose, that I've been begging for by
Stonehouse.
So if a stoplight is not in the hopper anytime soon.
It's not warranted.
Can we look at taking a section and lowering the speed limit through there?
I'd be happy to do a speed study.
That would be wonderful, because because it's 55 through there.
It is 55. There is a school zone. It's 35. That I think operates on the Stonehouse Elementary schedule. Was that about an hour in the morning, an hour in the afternoon?
And I wanted to ask as well, could we add the Williamsburg Christian Academy schedule to that as well? Because they stagger when they come and go.
And I like that they stagger, because it doesn't don't both schools out there at one time. And there is a guide for that it can only be an hour. However, I think we can. If you can send me the proposal, these are operated by the county, by the school system. Okay. We manage them, for length of time they can be on, and I think that we probably can work with the county.
Okay.
Being that both schools are located or departing from the same roadway. Also, some things have changed since the last time we looked with the Whitehall subdivisions. I think is I mean, when we first there, it was just building. I don't think there was a first resident in there, and it is about built out, I think.
Yeah.
So, we have some changes there. So I'd be glad to look at it. I just need some proposals
Okay.
on what you're proposing and the schedules for both schools so we
Okay.
can look at it.
So would it probably just be a matter of bumping it up with the earliest schedule and out at the latest schedule
It
between the
depends
two?
upon the schedules.
Okay.
Right now, they're set in an hour. And there's an hour in the morning, an hour in the afternoon. I will say that people that use the road on a regular basis, the further you push it out, the less, it's harder to get them to comply with the speed zone. So that's with anything that when you start pushing it out, sometimes it's a little difficult, but that's goes back on enforcement and stuff of that nature. But
if we can get it lower through there anyway, then that might help, even with the lights.
I can do a speed study.
Okay.
It may not say that. That's all I can do is a speed study.
That'd be
We'll see
fine.
where that goes.
Thank you. I appreciate it. That's all I have. My list was long, but thank you so much.
So first I want to say thank you for the community meeting, which you were there with a colleague for over 2 hours. So thank you very much for that. And I appreciate the fact that you're looking at different options, especially the impact that's going to be, because I just, when you come up Green Springs Plantation, and most people go there to turn right towards Target, turning left with the people coming out of the timeshare there. And people they travel fast on that road. So that's just something we're going to have to keep. I appreciate you saying about not wanting to create another problem. We don't want to, but we know we have a problem where we have previously talked about. I know you've also been dealing with the beaver issue on 5 and cleaning out those ditches. That's pretty good.
Yeah, we have USDA as our consultant or contractor for that, and they are working with they're working with the owner to get some of the work done there around the Virginia Capitol Trail.
Okay, because also then on the other side, we have the issue on the National Park Service property that backs up to Fairway Villas. So we've just got issues all around because of beavers.
Right. But I'm not going this way. I'm
no, I know.
This way.
I know, but I'm just letting people know we're aware. Fernbrook, are we working through those issues?
Yeah, I responded to the HOA.
Okay.
We've been working through those. It's not, like I said, it's been a very rainy season, so we're trying to do some pipe inspections. We're having some problems with inundated with water, so we can't inspect them as long as they're full.
Okay.
So we've tried some different measures, and we'll continue on to try to address those. Some of that, I would think down the road, once we get funding, some of that will be some pipe, like CIPP liner, to some of the existing infrastructure that is leaking. There may be some areas that we have to do some pipe replacement.
Okay.
It just depends upon where all we find.
Okay.
But we are steadily sealing the DIs, and we're doing dye testing. So when we have these sinkholes, we do some dye testing, find out where that material is leaking into the system, and then we've been correcting those. So it's not that we haven't been maintaining the existing system.
Okay, great. And then I'm going to go back, I apologize, back to when you had your stakeholder discussion in March, because the question I get asked the most is, why can't we just take 614, that's Centerville, right, 614, and go like this to line it up with with Green Springs? But that's National Park Service property there. And I know in the past they've not been wanting to let go of it. Was there any?
Well, we had a really good conversation in our stakeholders meeting with the National Park Service.
Okay.
That they know that there's an issue there, and they're trying to work with us, and that's been part of the RSA. There may be some opportunities there. There's some utilities in there as well. So you would have to give up property to take property type thing.
Okay.
But that is a wooded area. It's not like it's out in the battlefield or something. So maybe there's some possibilities there, but I will say that it's wetlands.
It's very swampy.
It's very swampy through there.
Yeah.
You would have to really adjust Centerville and Green Springs, kind of both would have to give a little bit to meet up, and it's very costly.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm glad to hear, though, that it's...
we have discussed it. We have certainly discussed it, and and the National Park Service is one of the partners in this. So, like I said, they were part of our RSA, and we've looked at a bunch of different options, even with the fire department and how to connect, the kind of doing away with this section of Green Springs, but also providing additional connectivity. So,
great.
It's all part of the discussions.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, I've got a couple. Jolly Pond on to Centerville. If we can look at adjusting that stop bar and moving it forward just a little bit.
That's the one at Centerville, where it kind of splits there.
Yeah, where you come out of Jolly Pond.
Mm-hmm.
And right where it sits, it's a blind spot on both sides as far as the signs. Maybe we need to adjust the signs, or I thought the left side's kind of that telephone pole. You got to pull up either. You got to stay back far enough you can't see to your right, or pull up a little bit further and everybody looks at you like, why are you over the line toward the city you left? So it's kind of a...
And I will say that just because the stop bar is there doesn't mean you have to stop, but it's your responsibility to move out until you can see,
Correct.
We can't set all stop bars at the edge line. I mean, there's really, the stop bar is really part of the, you got stop signs, stop bars, letting you know that you have to stop. But it's your responsibility to move up, and I had this in there, because you move up to make sure that you have clear sight in both directions before moving out. But I'll certainly have it looked at.
Yeah, because a lot of people, they move up, and then you see the other person come in and like, and there's plenty of turning, and I know why it's back as far as this, because of school buses, trying to give them the room to get around there. And I've mentioned to this board several times as well, the gas companies, I know they need to put in their ports connections and all that. They put one right there in front of CNF right at the Croker Road. I don't know if they got with VDOT and planned that to the 4 lanes that are going to be there, because it looks very close to on the one side. And I haven't seen the plans and looked at them enough to realize. But they may have put it right in your right of way for ditch line and everything else. So, is there a way that when they're adding more through our community, we're looking at them, I just play it as simple as it is. They're ugly. They're just ugly. And, they're about, the companies, not picking on any of the companies, but they can put whatever basically they want in the community where no one else can do that. They're a little higher up the chain. We're looking at that and how to address that as far as making it a little bit more pleasant for the eye. I know it's got to be there, but I thought about it and watched all the work go on, and I'm like, I wonder if they got with VDOT and said, hey, are we going to be in the right of way at 2022? Or are we just sticking this right here for now, and you can pay for it later to move it, and it's costing all of us?
Well, we certainly, the way that works is we certainly, if we have existing plans, construction project in the works, we provide those plans. However, project that isn't developed yet, like Croker Road, we haven't finalized that. We have a hard time, especially because the right-of-way hasn't been acquired where they would have to be. And it's hard to make another company come in and acquire separate right-of-way because they're going to have their facility within the right-of-way, if you know what I'm saying. So we have to purchase the right-of-way, and then we have the utility relocations. If that includes utilities that just were, put in the right-of-way, or the ones that have been there 50 years, they all have to be moved outside compared to those construction plans. So yes, there are some utilities that are added to the existing right-of-way, that within a few years, we have to turn around and relocate them.
Okay.
And
I was just trying to think if there was.
There's really no way around that.
Right, I can see when you
because
explain it.
the right-of-way in which they would be putting the utility is
there.
private property right now.
Right. Okay. All right. The litter pickup. Do you have any way of comparing one year to another? It seems like each year we're getting more and more litter. And
I
litter's
travel the
really
roads a lot, and
it's driving me crazy how nasty.
Yes, we can pick up today and tomorrow. It almost looks like we weren't out there.
Yeah. And do y'all keep a running tab? And when we pick up this road, we're picking up 3 tons. Next year, we're picking up 3.5 tons.
We don't. We do it with contractor.
Okay.
It's based on acreage of litter pickup per acre.
Right.
Whether there's 10 tons on that acre or whether there's a half a ton on that acre, I pay them the same amount. So I don't get that data. We do have the Adopt a Highway program, which is a voluntary program, right, which we track, the areas and the times that they pick up, and they report how much trash they pick up in those sections. So we do report that or keep that data, but our contractor who does our litter removal, we have not been, the number of bags or anything of that nature.
Is there any signage that would? This is a litter-free community.
We have them at your entryways in James City County with the additional fine signs. They are posted now.
Right.
So I can't litter the county with them, right, but we did put them up at, I call it the main entryways. And that was something that was done, I want to say 4 or 5 years ago.
Now that we've changed it and the fee is more than it used to be, can we add the fee to that signage? And
it is. It's a placard on the sign at the bottom says increased fines $200.
Okay. I didn't see that. So my bad for missing that. Thank you. Centerville Road with, I guess that's a gas line they're putting in right now down Centerville. Y'all aren't, but
there's 2 things. There's Dominions out there, and then there is a gas line or something.
Right by
hand. And then we have also the utility relocation for Centerville and News.
Right, and this is right at the power lines right by Handy Ice.
Heritage.
And
it was right there at the back intersection of Colonial Heritage.
Went on down through there, and they've gotten further down the road. And I think it's the way they're welding and connecting the pipes. It's got to be gas. Okay. It's brown usually. You note it by yellow. But I've had a few of the owners in that area, and the ditches look good right now, but are wondering, will the ditches be to VDOT standard and drain properly when the contractor's done? I guess that's something y'all check.
We will hold them to what was there previously. It's hard for me to have them come in and reditch everything that they touch, but if they damage or any infrastructure or ditch line or something of that nature, they're responsible as part of the permitting.
Okay, because we've had some water issues down through there, so I was just
And we'll address any of those that come in.
The let's see. Cranston's Mill Pond Road, of course, as always, as we all know, floods and all that. Is that something that we could look at as far as the pipes underneath there are so old?
Yeah, we are. And Scott and I have had this conversation. I have some hydraulic engineers from our district office kind of engaged in this. I will say that what we've found, and most of the times that it floods, there's an obstruction in those pipes.
Yep.
If the pipes are clear and open, normal to heavy rain events, it does not flood.
Right.
Being so close to the spillway, a lot of that debris from the mill pond itself comes over the spillway and ends up getting lodged or caught or at the entranceway to those 3 pipes. They're fairly large pipes.
Yeah.
We doing a concentrated effort, trying, especially prior to forecasted heavy rain events, to go down there and make sure that those are free of any debris And when we do that, that seems to help a lot. There is a secondary, almost like a secondary spillway, but it's really a swamp that collects water to the right-hand side of the driveway. So you have the pipes, you have your entrance to the dam and to the spillway. Then you have some other water that comes in that collects. That has to go through a small pipe right now that is underneath the driveway to get to the triple liner pipe.
Right.
We're looking at options of trying to take that across as an additional outlet underneath Cranston's Mill Pond Road, so it doesn't have to go through that 15-inch pipe.
Right, to get back over
over there. So to relieve some of that secondary water that's coming over.
Right.
So that's what we're looking at right now. But I will say that we've had pretty good success here lately, other than those big ruts that have created down there.
I see y'all fix those too.
We did, but
past couple weeks.
You know, it's such an incline. There's so much water coming down that hill. Then when we have the heavy rains, it washes the shoulders out.
And the problem you have is everybody runs on those shoulders.
They do.
You put them in. I came through there. Y'all are putting them in, and no more than 15 minutes after they're in, there's traffic already. Whites riding off the side of the road to get to the ditch. I don't know, but they're already tearing that. So that is
such a grade. You know,
it is. It's a terrible grade.
It's such a grade, and it's almost it's hard to see. You know, you're going down there. So if we don't have the road closed to through traffic or a road closed because of high water signs, you know, it's a dangerous situation down at the bottom.
Now, would a Ballard system maybe help block the debris from getting to the pipe?
You know, there's cages. There's other ways of doing it. The problem with that is, especially like with beavers, we've installed some for beavers to try to keep the debris, but it still has to get up to a certain level.
Yeah.
You know, they'll block that off. But the water has to get up to a certain level to go over it.
Yep.
Well, by that time, the grade from the top of the pipe to the roadway isn't much that we still end up having flooding, you know, on the other side of the driveway type of thing. So, yes, it may help, something we can look at. Right now, it's just using a lot of effort to go and make sure it's open.
Oh, it is. That's a lot of work y'all have done. Thank you, though.
And it's dangerous, too.
It is.
Because we have to flaggers and everything with that road.
They roll down there.
Yeah, to be somebody down there working, you can't see them until you.
Now on 60 coming to 199 by the piano organ outlet, there's that thing of bushes on the right hand side coming into Lightfoot from Williamsburg. You'll see it. The traffic right now is keeping it trimmed back.
So you got 199. Comes down to
you got coming
60.
You're coming up 60. You're coming 60 heading towards 199.
Okay.
Out of town. So you're coming out of Williamsburg, basically. So you're almost at the piano organ outlet.
Okay.
You know, you'll see a large set of trees. Before you get to 199, you'll see a large set of bushes on the side that are encroaching on the road.
Okay.
And the trucks and all are keeping them trimmed right now. Yeah, but you can't miss them once you see them. You'll be like, darn, there's a pile there.
I take that these are on private property and have grown out into the right of way.
It's grown into your right of way. Yep. I know you're working with the issue on I think your Rochambeau where the private driveway is raised up and kind of ponding right there into I'm worried that's going to start flooding Rochambeau.
Well, the county stormwater is working with the property owner trying to get some site plans for that work.
Okay.
So we'll be, I guess once the county receives something, we'll do our part and review.
Because that's encroaching in your safety zone as well.
We actually put up some temporary barriers out there today.
Okay. Thank you. All right.
For trying to increase that safety.
Yeah.
For people to go down, that are going down Rochambeau.
So where we get a major flooding event and somebody flies down there, they're going to be upside down on that. Guess we covered. Thank you for the quick response on emails and calls on the last couple of weeks. Things I've been, curious about and asking you to help out with. Thank you for all your help and the quick response. Appreciate it. Done, sir.
No, it's got to be another road in your district.
There's one more, but I'll leave it next time.
No, it's very tentative. I think it's great. Okay. No other questions?
Thank you, Mr. Carroll.
Thank you so much.
Really appreciate it. Appreciate it. See you on the ferry.
Exactly.
Okay. And our third discussion is Sandy Bay Shoal, John Carnifax. That's correct.
It says questions here, so
Okay.
I'll start with a little history here, so for everybody. So about 18 months ago, the Coast Guard had some public hearings. They put out some notices that they were going to remove some buoys that lead from our marina out to the James River through the hole in the wall. If you're familiar with that, I think. Here you go. Here's a map. So in that area that you see as Sandy Bay is the area that we're talking about. There were 2 buoys in there that was marking the channel. So the Coast Guard didn't do that just here. They did that, throughout the East Coast. They were kind of downsizing, trying to get out of the smaller waterways and focus on the larger channels. And so they had some public hearings, and in the end, about 12 months ago, maybe 15 months ago, they removed those buoys. And y'all probably started getting some feedback from some citizens about a year ago this time. Since then, I've talked to the James River Association has been vocal about this, and some boaters. I've heard from boaters on both sides. Some say that, the county shouldn't be installing the signage and buoys, that all boaters are responsible for the navigation and understanding the waterways. And then we have boaters that feel like, that somebody should step in and at least put in some, if not the buoys that mark the channel, at least some warning signs. As you get close to the hole in wall there's one particular area that has been there for 400 years, forever. I talked to folks, and it's going to be there unless it's dredged.
Can you show where that is on here? Do you have a...
Just a cursor. Yeah, let's see, right here.
Okay.
Right in this area right here.
Okay.
And I actually drove out. You can see that at low tide.
Right.
You can see some little large rocks, small rocks, depending on the tide. So that's the area that, from talking to folks, is the greatest concern. Probably more so than putting the buoys out and showing the channel. It's that one area, because when inexperienced boaters, somebody that puts in that doesn't know, they will try to cut that corner to the hole in the wall. And so that's where the accidents have happened. So since this happened, some private boaters have gone out there, and they've installed some PVC pipes in similar locations to where the buoys were before. So that's in place right now. About a month ago, Congressman Whitman, the James River Association, and some others invited Congressman Whitman down, and they met over at James River Association, and I attended that meeting to basically listen and hear what he had to say. And basically he was saying the same thing, that this has happened everywhere. The Coast Guard's getting out of it. State, locality, or even private individuals can apply to put up these private aid to navigation, batons as they call them. So anybody can apply and put these out there, either buoys or markers. So there is a process in place for folks to do that. Folks being either the county or private groups that could apply and get approval to do that. Matthews County is the only county that I'm aware of that actually did this when the Coast Guard came in, and they've got 2 creeks over there that they have placed these things in, and they applied and got approval to do so. So basically it's a decision that the board would need to make, and and there is a process in place. I think the concern is, how much risk are we at if we being the county to replace any kind of signage or navigation buoys out there. So I would let Adam speak to that part of it, but I think that's a concern that you'll all probably need to be aware of.
So if we, I guess it would, a warning sign versus a buoy, do we have the same liability would be a question. The fact that a private person has put PVC and it's been allowed to stay there, is there any, so nobody's liable for that because somebody stuck it there?
The county's not liable.
Okay.
We are not liable for anything that on the waterways. We don't own the waterways. We don't have that type of ability to enforce that. It would be the Department of Game and Inland Fishery or Department of Conservation and Recreation that could probably enforce that. Or the Coast Guard could enforce it if they wanted to. But boaters over the years have placed PVC pipe at many areas of their own to just show navigation. So that's not uncommon, and typically folks don't go and remove them.
And the James River Association, is there any, since it can be done by another group, did you get any type of indication from them that this might be something that they might be willing to?
There was some discussion about that, but no decision, to my knowledge, has been made yet. I think that's something they were considering. And the Auxiliary Coast Guard, which is local volunteers, have also talked about the possibility of doing something. But it just seems strange that if the Coast Guard pulled out, that they would allow, because they are affiliated with the Coast Guard, they're an auxiliary, that they would be able to do that. But I'm not saying that they can't, but I've talked to a couple of their members. They're looking into that, so.
Okay. So what about a warning sign versus a buoy?
I'd be concerned with either. Anytime you're going to put something out there that someone's going to rely upon, we want to have some, one, you're going to pick up some liability and that someone's relying on something that you put out there, and we'd want to have some knowledge that our folks are going out there, put it out there with reasonable care, and have done some monitoring of that. As I understand it from John, I'm no boater, but the channel moves out there, and we have a police boat, and we have one, and it's out on duty. I don't think we're out monitoring channels, so I would be concerned with how often we're out there checking it, how often we're making sure that it's in the correct position. If we're going to put it out there, people are going to rely on it.
So,
and that's a warning or that's a buoy, either way.
Okay. So even a warning at the marina to say there's unmarked channels.
Oh, I think that's less than saying putting a marker out there saying there's a danger right here.
Yeah.
Versus warning somebody before they leave the marina, hey, check your navigation maps or whatever, because there's a lot of unknown.
What if we did something like that?
You'd have to do it on all of your, and the thing about it, like my creek, I'm a boater, and my creek up there, there's logs and there's stumps and there's things that you don't know till it's really low tide.
Yeah, but if we could put a sign like that at the park to just say FYI.
I'm not concerned with that.
That might.
But if you're a boater, you know that.
Well,
you're going out in the water. If you know what you're doing with the boat, you're going out in the water and you don't know what's underneath you. That's common sense. There could be anything anywhere in the water. And so, you learn the water and you learn from others what's where. And there's been a lot of them have marked certain areas. On the other side, that's really sandy. You'll go aground real quick. If you don't follow that, and if you go all the way through, that whole thing there, if you're not watching as you're coming, I used to keep my boat in the marina, so I know that corner there. And when you go in there once or twice, especially in low tide, you see it, so you know to swing out. And, even before I had it, before the markers were in there. And, but yeah, I think I have no problem with something at the marina, like you said, and go, hey, but marking it out in the water. Yeah,
no, I hear you about the liability for I don't think that's something, based on your advice especially, I don't think that that's something that we want to take. But I would appreciate if we could collaborate possibly on some sort of sign that we could hang somewhere near the boat launch or near the boat slips or something that.
So why don't I work with Adam to develop something that we could hand out and provide a signage and as a handout on information that we hand out to, especially boaters that use the ramp. Most of your experienced boaters that keep their boats there have it, but at least we could give that out if that's something we could work together on to find something that wouldn't put us at risk, but still provide basic information that we're aware of, not details on the exact feet that is. But there is a sandbar in this area, be cautious, or something like that.
It's fine.
So we could put a map, just put some kind of simple map together, say, watch this area. There may be other things, just like any of our indemnification agreements that people sign. There's always risk in the waterway that we're never going to be able to control.
Find out.
But we do know in this area there is a sandbar, and please avoid it, make them aware of it, at least do our best. But there will be people that, so you know,
I know.
People will arrive before our staff, and we have an honor system to pay, and there will still be people that will use that ramp that will not get this information.
Yeah, and I understand that, and I don't even know if I'm saying, I'll let, as much as I want to insert myself into it, I don't know that I'm even asking you to say there's water hazards. Please be aware.
Sure.
So
we'll work together and get as much as we can on there.
Okay.
And just to be clear, like if Parks and Rec had a boat and they were out there with some regularity and they were out there looking at the stream and that's what they were doing, I'd have less concern over putting signs out because we would know, hey, channel moved, we need to move this over. We're not out there doing that as far as I know, unless I'm wrong. We're just
John could paddleboard out or something every day.
Every day. I was hoping 2 or 3 times a year.
But if we do that, should we put it at all of our boat landings and marinas and just put a simple sign that says, be advised, you are entering into waters that may be unknown to you. There could be underlying hazards that you may want to be cautious and kind of general, because somebody gets hit at the other one, they're down at the other marina and say, you didn't tell me that, you warned me over there, but if I'd have known that, I don't know.
So far, the only feedback that we've received has been, and the James, our marina.
Yeah, but so we're hearing from a lot of experienced boaters and people who are involved in organizations that are related to boating.
Right.
What's the obstacle for them to do this? I mean, if there's a permitting process, is it the cost? Is it just that they want somebody else to take on responsibility?
The buoys would be costly because you'd have to put a piling in the ground and that would run you up. But to put up warning signs, it'd be the cost of the post and the sign, which wouldn't be, and that's one of the things that the Auxiliary Coast Guard asked, if they were able to get the permits to do this, would we support them and financially in purchasing the post and the signs. That was the last conversation I had with them.
I mean, that would seem to me to make to take a lot of the liability off of us, and also to put it in the hands of people who are out there and who are monitoring it.
Because you could put one in and spray it red and green, and red on right when returning, you know what side to be on. I mean, a boater knows that. And if you see red, you know what side you need to be on when you're coming back in.
One question that came up in my mind was, what has been the experience? What kind of accident or incident experience has there been, or do we even have statistics about it? Do we even know about how much there is?
We know of a few incidents because it was reported to us at the marina, and I've seen some pictures that have been sent to me of one particular boat that was up on the rock and caught. So I couldn't tell you how many. I know there's been a couple in the last few years since we've been operating the marina that we're aware of, but I find, I'll hear something that a jet ski went through there. My neighbor went through there and hit it one time on a jet ski, but that was never documented, was never told to anybody until this issue came up, and he said, well, I hit it 5 years ago going through there, so I don't think we really know the numbers.
Would you be willing also to reach back out to the James River Association and see if they've had given any thought to doing something as well?
I was thinking, nice big warning signs. The arrow says rocks.
Stop.
Acme.
So I do appreciate the update because I've spoken to Jason. It's just something that's reoccurring, and I know it's starting to reoccur because thankfully the weather will start getting a little better, and so I thought it would be good to have a public discussion about.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So we are next to board requests and directives.
I have something real quick. Just wanted to draw people's attention to the pinwheels sitting on the table here. We're coming to Child Abuse Prevention Month, and these pinwheels are going to be appearing in various locations around the community. They are designed to draw attention to the importance of children having healthy futures, and part of that is to prevent abuse of children. In addition, we've got these little blue ribbons that are, in a sense, memorials for those who have been the victims of child abuse. And there will be a memorial service on Thursday evening at 6 o'clock at James Blair Middle School.
Okay. And you can, they'll give you, if y'all want some for, to put out, you can you can have some of them. So you want to take them, take them. Okay. So I'm gonna put some out in front of my office. Get them on 60 so we can see them. Anything else? No, sir. That's
so again, I want to reemphasize to thank VDOT and thank staff for all the help with the meeting, the community meeting, and we're starting to see some movement, and so I just am very appreciative of that. So this morning, Supervisor McGlennon and I attended the Williamsburg James City County Schools Foundation Innovative Grants for this. I think they do that twice a year, and so we went for the spring.
But you actually went on the bus tour.
I went on the bus. Yeah, that was really exciting. They gave out about $35,000 in grant money, which was great. I have had questions about the length of time, Adam, on construction projects. That construction projects start and then they don't, especially commercial. And there's really no way for us to, or is there any way to?
There are some provisions in the Uniform Statewide Building Code that talk about how our building official can move projects along, but I don't know that they apply to commercial. I'll have to get back to you on that one.
Okay.
But unfortunately, it was longer than you think.
Okay.
We have pretty little ability to push them forward. But
wow. Yeah, I've been living with the house in my neighborhood that never been finished. So
I'm very familiar with it.
Yeah, it's not a commercial, but so I hear you. I remember that one too. And then I also appreciate the recycling update. I hope that people will continue to recycle. Us as well. I'm little. I think people do very much care about recycling in the environment, and so we'll see if the cost scares them off or not. Hope not. Hoping Loop 135, the main, we're all in. But anyway, all right. Thank you so much.
I'm good.
I'm good.
Thank you.
Okay. A couple of things. I've had requests. We talked about it earlier, and Ruth and I have talked about it recently, about the need to do a little bit more of a board retreat than we did earlier, looking at potentially having an off-site retreat. I think we want to talk about the board process and some of our consensus on strategic issues, one of which is like economic development. I think we need to talk about that. I would appreciate input on other issues you would like to do, and I'd like to float the idea of putting this work session sometime toward the latter part of April or early in May. And what I wanted to get was some idea from folks as to whether you wanted to do like a Saturday morning. Would that help you with your work schedule, Michael, or what would be best? We could do a Friday morning. I'm thinking we want to do an off-site. We'll have the staff find us a spot.
During the week would be better.
In the week better? Mm-hmm. Okay. Would any particular day of the week, or if you mean to just have try to look at a couple of proposals and see
that'd probably be so that I can check my work schedule and see if
is the latter part of April or early May fit with everybody, or
it's a really bad time for me, only because it's the last week of classes, first week of exams, graduation, comes right along, and and we're doing our budget stuff as well right around
Graduation occurs always with Mother's Day, right?
Well, either Mother's Day or my anniversary, one of the I'm in trouble no matter what.
Yeah.
Okay.
Early May would be really tough for me as well because I am picking up, I'm helping two college kids.
I'm sensing an idea that we want to make it later in May.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So a weekday, like a Friday morning, something like that later in May.
Yeah.
Let me propose a couple of dates and run them by the board and see what it looks like it would meet people's schedules.
Okay.
And then what we'll do is we'll have staff set us up a location, and then we can add it to our calendar at a later time.
Thank you.
Okay. Also on April 23rd, next month, VACO Region 2 has a meeting, and it's an unusual one because normally they meet those in the middle of the day, but this one's going to be down at the Freight Shed in Yorktown at 7 to 9 in the evening.
Right.
And everybody's encouraged to go. I would normally go, but I already have a commitment that I'm going to, it schedules it. So
We have a work session that.
Yeah, well, I've got a commitment right after the work session as well.
I already RSVP'd that I would go to.
Okay, you're going to be going. Okay, I'd like to have some representation from the board
Did you get
because.
something about it?
Yes.
Yes, we got an email.
Yeah, we got it yesterday.
Oh,
Yeah.
I missed that.
Okay. Well, I wanted to make sure we had some representation there because after our work session that day, I'm actually going right into another commitment. So I would normally be there, but I appreciate that.
That's important.
Yeah, it is. And just to let you know that I sat down with Scott and Rebecca Van Root and discussed a lot of issues that came out of the Oakland and the Powhatan Terrace. And I said what we would need to do is, I think the one thing I learned in all of those was how little I knew about low-income tax, housing, how little I knew about what we already had in the community, and how social services deals with folks who are in need in the community. And so I think we're going to put together for the May work session a very in-depth review. I guess this was done for the board at some time several years in the past, but I think it'd be helpful for us to go back through that again. So if you have any requests or any input that you would like to have covered at that work session, please make sure you get it to Scott so he can get it worked into the agenda on that.
It would obviously make sense for us to have the Workforce Housing Task Force report draft at least in hand at that point.
Yeah, I think that's is that. Do we know when that's scheduled to come?
It's supposed to be shortly.
Shortly,
I think so, but I don't remember the schedule. Do you, Jason? No. We'll let you know.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that would be helpful for that work session.
And then there are two significant studies that were conducted for us that are on the Workforce Housing website. The Virginia Tech survey of housing needs, and there's another one as well. I think one was 2016, maybe one was 2015.
Yeah, good. That's right. Okay. And then the last thing I wanted to share was my thank you present I got today. I did Read Across America with Mrs. Payne's fourth grade class. And I have a nice little booklet with nicely illustrated with little thank you notes from all of the students. And it's a very, very precious to me. I plan on writing them a very nice letter back, but that was a great program. And if you haven't done that before, you get a chance to go read to the kids in our schools.
Thank you for saying that, because I read to Mrs. Armbruster's class at Matthew Whaley last week. So thank you for mentioning that.
Very good.
I forgot to say something.
That's all board requests and directives.
I've got one more thing that I did forget.
Yes.
I don't think I've shared with you all about the court case that took place a couple weeks ago regarding the dog attacks and colonial heritage, and sat in a very hard bench for a long day, and it was well worth it. Everyone was found guilty on everything. No more dogs for that particular family, and fines being paid. Unfortunately, I believe it was the next day, all of a sudden dogs were running from that family again before they got a chance to find another home for them. But their citizens were very appreciative of Mr. Kinsman and his work on the bill that passed in the General Assembly for dogs running in packs. Yeah, thank you so much. So they are very appreciative of the involvement in the county and helping them with their situation up there. So it was a lot of kind of fun, I guess, in a weird sort of way, sitting there. I felt like I was on a reality TV show. Got a little interesting, but the residents were very appreciative of everyone's help and participation. So thank you.
I would offer, Scott, if you have anything for the board?
No, sir.
Okay, at this point. All right. No closed session. We'll take a motion to adjourn until 5 p.m. on April 9th for the regular meeting.
Motion.
Okay, so moved.
Mr. Hippel?
Aye.
Ms. Larson?
Aye.
Ms. Sadler?
Aye.
Mr. McGlynn?
Aye.
Mr. Eisenhower?
Aye.